Very, very rarely do I find myself agreeing with Colin Hart, who is a veteran boxing journalist with the Sun newspaper. Very rarely do I find myself agreeing with him, but on this occasion, I definitely do. Now, he's written a pretty scathing article about the Tyson Fury Tom Schwartz debacle, which, can be read on the Sun website. And just the opening few lines here, he says, anyone watching the Tyson Fury fight on TV would have thought he had beaten Jack Dempsey, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, and Mike Tyson all on the same night. He says, I've heard some tosh in my time, but the insufferable over-the-top praise for Fury's win over Tom Schwartz by the BT pundits was an insult to the intelligence of every fan who knows the difference between a left hook and a coat hook, or a left hook and a fish hook, as Leo Muhammad would say. So, yeah, I definitely agree with Colin Hart with regards to the over-the-top praise of Fury after the Schwartz fight, because that was a circus. But I do also have to say that Colin Hart completely dismissed Andy Ruiz ahead of his fight with AJ. This is why I usually disagree with Colin Hart, because despite being a veteran boxing journalist, no disrespect, but the guy seems pretty clueless about boxing. I know he's been around for a long time and covered a lot of fights, but in terms of his understanding of the sport, he seems pretty clueless, even after all these years. I remember when Buster Douglas fought Evander Holyfield, and it was Colin Hart was part of the commentary team along with Gary Mason and a couple of the Sky guys. And Colin Hart, that's the wrong fight. That was Mickey Duff who was doing commentary with Gary Mason. Colin Hart did commentary with Ian Darke on the undercard of Holyfield Burt Cooper for a Lennox Lewis Tyrell Biggs fight. That's the commentary I was thinking of. So Colin Hart was commentating with Ian Darke on Lewis versus Biggs, and the two of them were debating about whether Lennox Lewis is a knockout puncher. And Colin Hart was saying Lewis is not really a big puncher. And no sooner had Colin Hart said that Lewis dropped Tyrell Biggs. Right after he said he wasn't a big puncher. Lewis obviously turned out to be, a very, very good puncher. So, yeah, Colin Hart, I've always felt he's kind of clueless. And even going into the Joshua Ruiz fight, he said, Ruiz is a joker and this, that, and the other, didn't give him any chance. People in the know knew that Ruiz was dangerous. I knew he was dangerous. I said so before the fight. And many other people did. In fact, to Tyson Fury's credit, he said Ruiz was dangerous. But truth be told, Tyson Fury doesn't have a great track record when it comes to predicting AJ fights. He tends to pick with his heart rather than his head. And his heart always wants AJ to lose. I mean, he picked Charles Martin of all people to beat AJ. Even when AJ fought Klitschko, he was picking Klitschko, at least initially, to beat AJ. So, it is what it is. But in this particular instance, I do agree with Colin Hart that the praise for Fury is way over the top. He's gone in there and fought a Tom Schwartz, a guy who doesn't have an amateur record like Andy Ruiz, who had over 100 fights and only 5 losses, doesn't even have a pro record like Andy Ruiz, who'd been involved in a heavyweight title fight before, very close one against Joseph Parker that many people felt like he won, and a guy who had obvious skill there. Yes, Ruiz is a blob, but if you look at what he does with his fists, he's got skills, fast hands, good counterpuncher on the front foot. From a stylistic point of view, there was potential issues there for AJ, and it turned out to be issues AJ couldn't handle. So, you'd expect a veteran journalist to recognize those attributes, but Colin Hart didn't. But here against Tom Schwartz, it's more the reaction to Fury's victory that he's criticizing the BT pundits going over the top and a lot of the Fury fans going over the top, because he just beat a complete pudding and they're all saying, oh my God, he's the best in the world and this, that, and the other. If Tyson, I've always said that I don't know who the best heavyweight in the world is. Let them all fight each other and then we'll find out. I am not an advocate for crowning somebody right now. Even over the past couple years, when AJ's been champion, you've heard me consistently say, I'm not an advocate for crowning such and such a person as the best heavyweight out there. No. You've maybe had a heavyweight who's accomplished the most, the heavyweight with the best resume, but in terms of the best, who can beat who, we don't know. We need them to all fight each other. I've been consistent with this over the past few years. And the same goes for now. I've said many times, Wilder might go on to be the best. AJ might go on to be the best. And I'm talking about prove themselves to be the best by beating all the other guys or, having the most top level wins. Fury might go on to be the best. But let's not give him that mantle before he's proved it. Because Fury has had 2 world title fights in his whole career. That is not enough to prove that you are the cream of the crop. The heavyweight division is stacked right now with talent. Tyson Fury is trying to make out as though it's a 2-horse race. It's not a 2-horse race. There's lots of talent out there. Lots of people who Tyson Fury hasn't fought. So I don't want to let nobody, or I don't want people to let Tyson Fury, try and pull a Mayweather on us. And start saying, I don't need to fight AJ. He's got Ruiz problems. I don't need to fight Ortiz. He's got Wilder problems. I don't need to fight Hrgovic. Blah, blah, blah. I don't need to fight that. That's what Mayweather was doing. That all BS. That's why I was so critical of Mayweather when he was doing that. And it's not to say Mayweather wasn't a great fighter. He was. But he skipped over so many fighters. It was frustrating because you could see, anybody who was objective could see what Mayweather was doing. He was picking his opposition very carefully. That's not to say he didn't fight good fighters. He did. Same with Fury. Fury's fought good fighters. But at this point in time, you're concerned that Fury might go down that road of being extra careful about who he's picking. And when you're doing that, you're basically trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. You're not someone who's saying, you know what, I'm the heavyweight champ. I'll take on all comers. Whoever wants it can get it. Because that's how I like the heavyweight champion to be. That's how Muhammad Ali was. That's how Mike Tyson was, truth be told. I've criticized Tyson a lot, but Tyson in his prime was fighting everybody. People talk about him not fighting George Foreman. I don't think that would have been a particularly competitive fight, to be honest with you. But hey, people have got opinions. Tyson was fighting everybody, during his prime. Not like he was in a really strong era, but he said, I'll take on all comers. Anybody wants it can get it. That's what the heavyweight champion's supposed to be about, at least in my view. Not a guy who says, I'm not going to fight this one because he lost to this one. And I'm not going to, like I said in a previous video, imagine if AJ had done that. Imagine if AJ said, I'm not going to fight Andy Ruiz. He went the distance with Zambano Love and Kevin Johnson, and I blew them both out. He lost to Joseph Parker, and I beat Parker. What am I going to fight Andy Ruiz for? Imagine if he'd said that. And most people would have gone along with him. Most people would have said, oh yeah, you don't need to fight him. He's beaten better guys than him. Beating Klitschko, Povetkin, all these people, Dylan White. What's he need to fight Ruiz for? He beat Parker, the guy that beat Ruiz. He didn't need to fight Ruiz. That's how most people would have reacted if AJ said, I don't need to fight Ruiz. This is why I cannot accept Fury trying to play that Mayweather game where he's like, don't need to fight this one. I don't need to fight that one. It's a 2-horse race and I just need to keep on rematching Wilder. That's all I need to do for the rest of my career. And in between, just take on cream puffs. No, let's not let him get away with that if that is indeed what he's trying to do, So yeah, the praise and him getting praise for this Tom Schwartz fight, that's the danger of him getting that kind of praise for a knockover job like this. Is that he says, okay, the plan's working. I don't need to fight all the top contenders. I can just fight cream puffs, rematch Wilder a few times, and it's all good. Fighting these cream puffs, I can maybe make crazy amount of money and everybody's going to think it's amazing. I don't want fans to allow Fury to do that. I want fans to have higher standards for the man who says he's the best heavyweight in the world, for the man who says that he's basically the best heavyweight of this generation. We need to hold him up to those high standards. He's only had 2 world title fights in his whole life. We need to hold him up to the standards that he claims he's at. And if he goes on to prove himself to be the best, then we give him all the praise for that. Yeah, because you can't argue with what takes place in a boxing ring. As long as there's no controversial decisions. But if he's going out there schooling people, staying on his feet, not getting dropped a few times like he did against Wilder, staying on his feet, schooling people, and picking up high-level wins against the top contenders and Wilder and Ruiz, AJ, whoever else is out there, and he manages to go out there and beat all or most of these guys and has the best resume overall, then he'll go down in history as one of the best heavyweights of all time, the best heavyweight of this era. It's all good, but allow him to do that first before you want to put that crown on his head, because he ain't earned that crown yet. Yeah? Let's make that very clear. He hasn't earned that crown yet. That crown is yet to be earned by anybody in the heavyweight division. Wilder ain't earned it. AJ ain't earned it. Ruiz ain't earned it. Fury ain't earned it. It's all to play for in the heavyweight division right now. Don't let nobody convince you otherwise, because they're being dishonest. Either that or they're just not paying attention or don't know boxing. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.